Welcome to The Stacks, a podcast about books and the people who read them. I'm your host, Tracy Thomas, and today I'm speaking with Hannah Oliver Depp, who owns and operates Loyalty bookstores in DC and in the surrounding metro area. Some of you might remember Hannah from when she was a guest during our Banned Book Week series. And today she's back to talk about what it's like running her very own intersectional, mission-driven feminist bookstore. Hannah is a career bookseller serving on the boards of bookshop.org and the New Atlantic Independent Booksellers Association. Today, we talk about Hannah's road to bookselling, how readers can support their local indies aside from buying books, and we hear how Hannah and her team of booksellers decide what to stock on their shelves. Hannah will return for our June book club discussion of Oreo by Fran Ross, which we will discuss on Wednesday, June 28th. Quick reminder, everything we talk about on each episode of The Stacks can be found in the link in the show notes. Do you know what is very cool? The Stacks Pack. That's the exclusive community for lovers of The Stacks over on Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you get to join our virtual book club and Discord chats and link up with like-minded book lovers and be a part of the best bookish community in town. The Stacks Pack also gets bonus episodes and to weigh in on Stacks decisions like our book club picks, plus discounts on merch and a lot more. Again, all of that is for just $5 a month. Plus, joining the Stacks Pack makes it possible for me to keep the Stacks up and running as an independent podcaster. So if you want more of the show and to help me make it every single week, head to patreon.com/thestacks to join. Again, that's patreon.com/thestacks. And now it's time for my conversation with Hannah Oliver Depp. All right, everybody, I'm so excited. You all have been begging me to have this person back on the show. We finally are making it happen. I am joined again by Hannah Oliver Depp, who is the owner and founder of Loyalty bookstores in Washington, D.C. and the Washington, D.C. metro area. Hannah, yes. Welcome back.
Hi, I am so excited to be back. I love this show, and I am deeply amused that people wanted me back to do something other than, although I will always rant about book banning.
Well, we're going to talk about book banning today a little bit because I kind of want to do like, where are we now? Since we that's the last time people heard from you. But before we do that, let's start where we sort of always like to start, which is like, tell us a little bit about yourself, because I feel like on the book banning episode, we didn't like get a lot of backstory on you.
That is true. Where did I come from? I was rose out of the ocean on a seashell. They cracked open Zeus's head, and there I was. No, I was an academic studying medieval modernism, which is uses of medievalisms in the interwar period specifically is what I was looking at. Very British, very good white guy, rooted in a love of dragons and kind of looking at how the other was treated in times of stress. And yeah, I adored that. Was really struggling with where academia was and still is, and like the tension between where funding is coming from, how on earth you can balance like being there for your students and teaching, and a love of teaching and community, and, you know, bringing forth young minds and pushing forth research, and also just like the pressure to justify the existence of any liberal arts department and or subject as American education becomes increasingly more, you know, driven by you know, funding and competition. So I was just really sort of struggling with that and feeling additionally that I didn't belong because of being, you know, more working class, as well as, of course, more a person of color.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was definitely, I had so many wonderful mentors, and I had found my people, but it was never celebrated that I had been, you know, working in retail since I was a teenager, that I had a theater background, that I, you know, was a visual thinker, that that my experiences like working with the public made me a better teacher, that my ability to understand living paycheck to paycheck, because that's what I was doing, made me a better teacher, not a worse teacher, except for the fact that financial stress makes us all worse. So it just like felt like that there was just so much tension between, you know, what I loved to do, which was, you know, education, and the fact that like my whole self was not welcomed in the classroom. I took a break between my MA and my PhD program, and I went to work at Politics and Prose, which is a bookstore in Washington, D.C. that I had like grown up going to, and definitely formed a lot of like my own, mind as a child, and has like a well-deserved, incredibly well-reputed children's section. And then, graduating to the top floor, which had the grown-up books and going to author events and things like that. And I realized that a lot of what I was looking for in independent book selling, like, it was there. Like I was able to bring all of my intellectualism as well as my whole body and self into that room. And I was able to like actually connect with customers. I was able to do what had been done for me, which was like guide people at all sorts of stages of their life, wherever they were, whether it was a heartbreak, whether it was a loss, whether it was boredom, whether it was not seeing themselves, just different phases and stages of life, or the constant human condition, and help them find the right book. And I saw the impact that a bookstore that cared could have on a community and could have on the publishing industry, which is a huge beast unto itself. And bookstores and publishing have this relationship. They love and hate each other as they love and hate themselves. No, there actually isn't any hate, but there is, again, that tension because there's not a lot of money in books, and there's not a lot of, space for error.
Right.
But bookstores are incredibly good at introducing books to people, especially if they've never heard of them before. So your debut authors, your underrepresented authors, we are very good at getting those into people's hands. So publishers really do value that relationship. And so you're able to say, we need way, way, way more middle grade chapter books with kids of color who are going on mystery adventures or fantasy adventures, or, we really don't have enough essay collections by people from this background or whatever. Like, we're able to have these conversations directly with publishers in a way that is maybe outsized of necessarily like my billing with that publisher, because they care about the opinions that booksellers have, because we're seeing what's happening direct face to face with customers, and we are reading way in advance all across all genres. And that was just stunning to me, because as someone who, was studying, as previously stated, medieval literature, the idea of having like, talking to a publisher and then in 3 to 5 years, seeing some of those ideas like come out, while also watching a person in your community's mind evolve because of the book conversations you were all having. Like, and then on top of that all, like, there is still the things that I was good at, like opening and closing a store and managing the operations that were going around me. And I was like, oh my God, my whole self is here. Except I want to be clear, very embraced by the store to be my whole self. But there was a lot of tension because, the store that I first became a full-time bookseller in is a legendary store, is a store that cares a lot, but it is in one of the most affluent neighborhoods in this country. And it's extremely white. And it was exhausting. I'm adopted. I grew up in white community. I was a transracial adoptee. I am very, very good at navigating this. And what community did I want to spend all of my energy and my time serving? Was it a community that was never going to be not served? Or was it a community that without dedication and passion was going to continually be overlooked? And so a few years into my career as a bookseller, I just not only wanted to be able to move further in my career, because this is an issue we have with bookselling. Again, really small margins, really tiny businesses by and large. There's not always room to like move up in a company or to grow your skill set past a certain point. And I think part of like a wave of dedicated, caring booksellers who really wanted to see the industry grow and change, but maybe we weren't in the right places to do that. I did what many people do. I looked for a wonderful mentor to help me grow. Went and worked at another bookstore, Word Bookstores which is in Jersey City and in Brooklyn. And that store had opened, it was less than 10 years old at that point. And just like, I was like, I'm at this incredible legendary bookstore, but there's a lot of great lessons about how to like grow, evolve, and adapt, but there weren't any of like how start bookstore.
Yeah,
which is a
totally.
totally different task. And so, I worked there for 3 years and I learned a ton, continued to grow my connections in the book industry. But the idea was always to come home to Washington, D.C.
And that's where you grew up?
I grew up a little bit all over the place. I'm actually,
Okay.
I think the place we lived the longest um, was in Elkton, Maryland, which is not a place that's famous for anything other than being near other things.
Okay.
North of Baltimore. Um, but I spent most of my summers here in DC with my aunt. She's the one who would take me to politics and prose. As soon as whenever I had the choice of where to live, this is where I came home, and this
I
is
get it.
like my mental home. Yeah, but no, I did not like grow up here. I think it's really important because like if you like, I was at DC Public School X, or like that's a real
Right.
strong core thing that I respect. I respect that.
I live in LA, so like being from LA is very, I think, similar. It's like also being from New York City. Like
exactly.
There
like
is a
I'm like, this is my home, but I am not from here.
I'm not from here.
Yeah.
Yeah. It means something culturally to be from some of these like major American cities because they're so transient.
Yeah, and I grew up around here. I have family here. I would go. I had a very unusual, very hippie upbringing, and I would go stay with family members for like long stretches of time.
I see.
And so I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of me that was deeply influenced from a very young age by this place, but was not my mailing address.
Got it.
Until my 20s. Yeah, and then, but yeah, I've spent more time here than anywhere else, and will always be here.
Okay, wait, before we go on to the beginning of loyalty, I have some follow-up questions.
Oh my God, I've just been talking for so long. I'm so sorry. That was the longest version I think I've ever, like, Tracy, what did you do to me? That was like everything I've ever done. And like,
well, I wanted to know.
Oh my God.
I asked, but it's just funny because you were answering a lot of the questions I had written down for you. So I was like, well, I'm not going to stop her because she's sort of just like going through my list anyways. But I do have a follow-up question about your background in theater.
Yeah.
I didn't know you had a background in theater.
Oh, come on. Yes, I'm a theater kid, man.
I was a theater major. We've never talked about this.
Yes, samesies. That was I was like the queen of liberal arts. I was like, I've got English, I've got theater, I've got women's studies. Yes.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, total theater kid. My favorite things are costume design and set dressing. I was like definitely a tech kid, but I was on stage a lot. I love brown kid on stage. I was obviously the best friend a significant amount of time.
Of everyone. That's iconic. I can relate.
Yeah,
I also played a lot of like evil wives.
Oh yeah, which is like delicious and fun, but you're also like, I know why you picked me for this role.
Yes, I understand why I'm the stepmother. It's fine. I love it here, but also like I see you. Okay, and then you were mentioning how the bookseller relationship with publishers and like getting to give them feedback and stuff, you were experiencing that when you were at Politics and Prose before you ever even opened Loyalty.
Yeah. I will say, the relationship is like complicated, and how it works is different in each store. But we were really nurtured to, read ahead, take as many, advanced copies home and read them as we could, to write reviews. And, if you showed passion, that passion was like returned in tenfold by people who had been in the industry longer. And so if a sales rep for a publisher saw that I was like really engaged, they chatted me up and they talked to me and they're like, what are you reading? What are you liking? What are you seeing as somebody who's on the sales floor every day? What's moving? What's not? And then they have their, weekly meeting with their superiors, and they pass on what they, talk to the booksellers that week about during their sales calls.
Does that then, like those conversations with the sales department, does that then somehow end up with editorial? Like,
for sure.
Do you know how that happens?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's probably different with every publisher, but I know that, and like, the bigger the publisher too, it's like, a smaller press, you just talk to people directly versus like something at a Penguin Random House level where they own more than half of the various presses in the country, and it's like getting up. But even so, there still are, there's just like any company, you are getting feedback from people from all various different departments. And then, you do your, seasonal kind of conferences where you are like talking about direction and you're talking about
Right.
trends and you're talking about, and I know for facts that like blurbs booksellers have written end up in those rooms that like, hey, I had a conversation with, one of our biggest bookstores on the East Coast, and they were saying they're seeing this. And then a rep from, is like, oh, well, I'm seeing this, and they represent a different part of the country, right? Because it's usually split up geographically. So people can
Right.
actually visit the stores they represent. So, it's like, are they going to take something that they heard from, say, a loyalty or a mahogany at the same level that they're going to take what the Amazon sales rep says?
Right.
Depends, but it's in the mix. It's in the conversation, right? Like my billing is nothing compared to Amazon's billing. It's
Sure.
nothing compared to larger bookstores billing, but I
Sure.
am like getting information that they can't really get anywhere else. Like
That
no
they don't
amount of
get.
surveys or algorithm clicks are going to be the same as what I see every day.
And at Amazon, there is no real true introduction to titles.
Mm-hmm.
Like you might have like if you're interested in this, you might like this, but none of it is like organic or specific to a reader.
Yeah.
So you have a sense of like when people come into the bookstore and they're saying like I'm looking for XYZ,
Mm-hmm.
you're able to like translate that very literally, whereas Amazon would have to do that through like some sort of algorithms of what people are searching for, which is not always helpful.
Right.
It's not always accurate.
Yeah. I talk about it like it's Sherlock Holmesing. Like I will look at you. It sounds a little predatorial almost, but like I will look at you and be like, okay, this is like what you're wearing. This is how your posture is.
Right.
This is where you seem comfortable or uncomfortable. And like my job is to like coax you into like telling me the truth, because people have a lot of preconceived notions too sometimes when they walk in a store that they need to like appear a certain way or act a certain way. So I want to make them comfortable if they feel like that, or if they just like have not had the opportunity because they have not had a bookstore in their community before, which is very common. And I'm like, well, what shows do you like? Because they're like the last book I read was like, in high school and I hated it, but I really want to read more. And I'm like, that's really fine. Or they're like, I've only ever read only ever read nonfiction. And I think that's weird. Maybe I should read fiction,
Yes.
So getting people to a place where they'll like actually talk to you, because often what they think they're coming in for might not be what they actually want or need.
Right. I got to be a bookseller for a day at my local bookstore reparations club on Independent Bookstore Day. I was giving like book recommendations for a few hours, and it was the most fun.
It's intoxicating.
It's so great. I mean, I was like literally running all over the store, like pulling things off the shelf, being like, okay, they don't have this in stock, but let's go ahead and order it because it's exactly what you want. Or like I mean, it's just, it's so much fun if you love books to get to talk about books. And it is sort of like this mystery and trying to like excite someone about a book, even though they have no clue what you're talking about because they haven't read it, but you don't want to tell them anything, but you also want to tell them it's like the whole thing. Okay. Wait, I want to go back to Loyalty's origin stories.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to Jersey and Brooklyn, you kind of do like an apprenticeship. How do I do this? You decide, okay, I'm coming back to DC. I'm opening this bookstore. And then how long did that take to actually like get back to DC to do it? And also, how did you come up with the name?
Oh, great question. It was a long time, and also it happened really fast. So we had a bookstore here on Upshur Street in the Petworth neighborhood of DC called Upshur Street Books, and they were sort of like heading towards closing. But the owner was a restaurateur, and he really just like thought the neighborhood needed a bookstore, which it absolutely does. And so he'd like opened one, but it was like not his full focus. He really cared about it. He thought the neighborhood needed a bookstore, so he was looking for someone to kind of take it on. But it was not really necessarily my mission. It was a lovely spot, but it was a little bit different than what I wanted to do, focusing entirely, on diverse literature, on making sure that the, community that had made Petworth everything it was as it got further gentrified was like the main focus of the store. And, could introduce the folks moving newly into the store into like what this neighborhood, the best parts of this neighborhood, which are the people that made it. He was lovely to work with. We sort of did kind of like a work to own program, and I needed to kind of like raise funds to do any of that, because I don't know if you know, but working in major cities as an independent bookseller does not allow you to save money.
Right.
So we did a pop-up and I pulled every every favor and connection that I had in the book industry. I sort of like lovingly and jokingly say like all of my friends are operations managers, but it's like absolutely true. Like every single one of us is like an earth sign and like an ENT or INTJ, like whatever your personality type preference rubrics is, we are all exactly that person. And so I was like, okay, you are going to do this for me and you are going to do this for me. And I was like marshaling every favor ever. And it was really just beautiful. Like community came together to help make this thing happen. And so we did a pop-up in downtown Silver Spring, which I did live in as a kid, which is nearby. It's just like just outside of DC. And it's always like in the top 5, like most diverse cities in America. It's a huge immigrant city. It's an incredible place. They also hadn't had a bookstore in years. And I was like, this is unacceptable. So my goal was always to do multiple bookstores with like a linked mission. And so I knew Silver Spring was looking for a bookstore. I wanted to keep a bookstore in Petworth. I was like, we're going to do pop-ups and we're just going to like see what happens. We were able to keep a bookstore on Upshur Street and use money from that we'd made during the pop-up to kind of raise awareness about the brand and to do like an opening order for the Upshur Street location. And we opened Loyalty on Upshur Street in Petworth in DC in February of 2019 and stayed in various pop-up forms, whether that was at farmers markets or inside coffee shops in Silver Spring over the next year as well. And then opened in February in 2020 in Silver Spring. So 2 locations right now, as well as just like, you know, we do events all over the city. And we're working on gathering funding and staffing and things for a bookmobile as well. So we can get even further places, although that's definitely some months off because we are very tasked to the hilt now.
Yeah.
But
how did you come with the name?
But the name, yeah. So the idea is that bookstores are definitely a two-way street between the community and the booksellers. Loyalty is like a really central idea just for like my own personal guiding light. I think that, you know, when you let a thing or make a commitment to a thing or let someone in your life that you know, it's so important what you choose to spend your time on and who you choose to spend your time with. And for me, if you put a bookstore in your community, you're saying, I'm here for you. I'm committed to you. And the way that it works is that the community has to be committed to you too. It is a relationship that you are forming. It's what makes bookselling such a difficult business because it's not a business that makes a ton of money, but it's a business that is dependent upon relationships. And so, you know, that relationship might be someone passing through, or it might be somebody who grows up coming to your bookstore.
Yeah.
And, you know, both are important. So I just wanted a name that really focused on that. It was, you know, fairly unique and I really loved it. I also sort of joke that I am like my reading taste and my aesthetics are like the love child between like Kendrick Lamar and C.S. Lewis. So
was not expecting that combination, but I love it here.
That is me. Especially, you know, specifically that album. So yeah, the song Loyalty, I probably like blasted that more so than anything.
I love that
of that album. Yeah, it's so good. And you know, problematic faves. It's really, you know, what are you gonna do? And yeah, I grew up reading, you know, like many a baby medievalist, I grew up reading, you know, any kind of fantasy I could get my hands on, but the kind of like idea of friendship and of like love in a community, that's really like an important part of C.S. Lewis's work. So I just was like, oh, this is like what implanted in me and kind of guides my morals. And when I'm really, really, really tired or overwhelmed while running a small business, it helps to have the word loyalty emblazed on the wall.
I love that. I love that so much. Okay. You talked about how booksellers can influence publishing. And I obviously have an audience of a lot of readers. And I think the conversation about Amazon and then like a Barnes and Noble or a Target and then independent bookstores and how to support and all of these things. I want to know, what are the things that readers can do that are the most impactful for an independent bookstore aside from going to the bookstore? Like, are there other things people can be doing to support the work of independent bookstores that maybe they don't think of, or like maybe are easier than they think, or
Mhm.
more difficult than buying books? Or like, aside from just like going to the store and
Right.
buying a book, what else matters for readers to do to support your work and their local indies?
Yeah, thank you for that question. On the one hand, it is like straightforward capitalism. Like if you
Right.
want, there was an indie campaign that the American Bookselling Association did a while, like buy it here, keep us here. Like it's a very like buy the books,
Right.
buy the stickers, buy the cards, buy a membership if that's a thing. That really is like the model. However,
Yeah.
we all know there's like so much to overcome in this capitalistic hellscape that like, and also we know that like not everyone can afford a $30 hardcover every week, right? Like
Right.
it can be complicated. So one of the hugest things is sharing that your bookstore exists. I've worked at
Mm.
bookstores that are 30 years old and hugely famous, and like people would walk in and be like, "How long has this been here?" Like, and like the general vibe is that like bookstores are dying. They're not actually, they're growing. Independent bookstores are opening up more and more all the time, but it's still like small business in America is a huge uphill battle. And there's no margins in book selling. So having you tell your friends who come into town to visit, your cousin, your mom, tell everybody that there is a bookstore in your neighborhood, or if there is not, what bookstore you like that ships, because pretty much everybody ships everywhere and has a website now. Like this is not like the early 90s when like bookstores were like, you can call me maybe. Like,
Right.
this is very much so like they are online, they are shipping internationally, or at least throughout the US. It is so helpful. You absolutely share on social media. That's a really, really big deal. We had like one of my favorite local bookstagrammers, Lupita Reeds, who's wonderful. Definitely follow Lupita. Great book recommendations. Like today shared like about an event and was like, DC, who's coming to this event? Because like they themselves were going like a normal person. And they were like, if anyone wants to come, like meet me there, That was not something we asked her to do, but I know that like the algorithm is going to like that and is going to help more people find out about that event and therefore our bookstore. That kind of stuff is huge. Sharing, if you like the book stack that I put on social, be like, oh my God, look at what my bookstore put on social. It's really simple. If you don't have money, word of mouth and social media are so incredibly huge because people need to hear things repeatedly before they remember they exist.
Yes.
And just like the vague idea that somewhere there's a local bookstore that would be nice to support or is picturesque or would have unique recommendations is kind of where I think a lot of readers' heads are. And that's totally understandable. But like, how do we get that to actually when it is time for you to buy that book? And you are in the neighborhood, or you don't, it's not the book that your kid forgot to tell you they needed for their homework in the next 2 hours.
Right.
Like, is it possible that you can get it there? So I do think it's like so much of it is word of mouth. I think the other side of this is if you are someone who is engaged in what's going on locally, how does your local government treat small business? What are landlords allowed to get away with? What are the taxes that your small businesses pay so much worse than what a Walmart or a Target pays when they move into your community? What happens when a small business needs help because they got a window broken or there was a flood? Are there grants around? How do your local politicians treat small businesses? Is it just a photo op, or are they actually making it possible for your downtowns and your neighborhoods to be unique and special and places that you're happy to live in? What are the lane laws? What's happening with trash pickup? Like, these are like really large, big questions, but those are actually more often than not the things that kill a business. When there is no margins.
Right.
When like little things like that, they really pile up and they can be really hard. And, DC is, always writing this, kind of courting development and gentrification. And bigger companies. And also, like, there are a lot of programs here for small business. We're pretty lucky. It's really exhausting, and one of the things I'm trying to do better this year is to take advantage of them. And if there are community members who've been like, if you ever need help with X, Y, or Z, let me know. Like, trying to actually follow up on that, because it is hard, for everyone to do more than just like getting through the day, right?
Right.
So if you don't have like a lot of margin in your product, their profit, isn't huge, and you have, knock on wood, God forbid, etc., something happen to your building, or staff members are sick, or anything, all that stuff we saw with COVID, that actually hasn't gone away at all, especially not for small businesses. So the fact that it's both a book place and a small business is really like a double whammy of difficulty for indie bookstores. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be right back. Valentine's Day is upon us, and I've got love on the brain. Love for books, duh, of course. Hello. Did you forget what podcast you're listening to? I love bringing you all great reads, exclusive author interviews, and behind the scenes book gossip. But I can only do that with your support over on Patreon and Substack. Our Stacks Patreon community, also known as the Stacks Pack, is where you can go for book club meetups, a private, very active Discord, and a year-long mega reading challenge to help you achieve all your reading goals. Plus, you also get that monthly bonus episode. Now, over on the Substack, you can subscribe to my newsletter, Unstacked, where I keep the book conversations going. I also give you a healthy dose of sports and pop culture, definitely some hot takes happening over there. And again, that bonus episode. If you don't have a few dollars to spare, don't worry. There are free options on the Substack and the Patreon to get you a little extra Stacks magic. Making this podcast is a total team effort, and by supporting my Patreon and my Substack, you allow me to support my amazing team that makes the show possible every single week. So if you or your friends are looking to meet other book lovers and support this indie podcast, come hang out with me on Patreon, Substack, or both. I would love to have you. And since we're talking about love, you can gift subscriptions to the Patreon and the Substack for that special reader in your life. For the Stacks Pack, head to patreon.com/thestacks. And for the newsletter, head to tracythomas.substack.com. And also, there are links to both in the show notes. Okay, see you in the Stacks. Okay, so I didn't prep you for this, but we do an Ask the Stacks segment where someone writes in for a book recommendation.
Oh my God!
I've given you, I think, the hardest. This is the hardest one I've ever had, but I'm hoping that because you're so well read. I had to outsource my answers to Twitter because I could not think of an answer.
Oh my God. So this is where also I have to tell you, and everyone who's ever like worked with me or been handled by me knows this. I am so bad at author names.
It's okay. I'll link to that in the show notes.
I'll find the authors. Or you might hear me clickety clack, but only because I'm like making sure I have their name right.
We will take care of that. Don't worry. Okay, so this comes from Tanya, and they say, I inherited a bunch of Eric Siegel books from my grandmother and actually enjoy them. Are there more modern books like that? Books about ambitious guys living their lives, climbing corporate ladders, falling in love, and fucking up their marriages, all while navigating their unresolved daddy issues. Siegel probably wrote for women, but his books feel like the male equivalent of chick lit. Do you know of anyone writing something similar these days? Brian Washington, who I also love, writes about young Black men in a similar way. Bros just living and fucking up their lives. But I love the middle upper class 30s and 40s problems of Siegel's characters as well. Any all bro lit recommendations would be appreciated. So I can go first if you want a second to think.
Bro lit question. Yes, absolutely. But I do have some ideas.
Oh, you do already? Okay. Well, then you go first because I really struggled and I outsourced to people. And also, I don't even know some of the books that I'm getting ready to say. And I will link to the Twitter thread where these answers are. So
I want to read this Twitter thread too.
Yeah, there were some good options. But okay, what is popping out to you? What came to you?
Well, this is a little bit cheating, but like Brendan Taylor writes about like the overeducated, lost, sad souls.
Yes, totally.
And
That's
like
a good one.
somewhat from an outsider perspective, which like gives
Mhm.
you a way in. But they are, it's like dinner parties where the conversation is like you both like want to punch everybody, but also you're like, oh
Mhm.
my God, I've been at this table. Or but yeah, it's that age group. It's that like we are career and we are moving up. And it's often either academia or related to that. So I definitely think Brandon Taylor would be up. And that's like he's done short stories and novel as well. New York, My Village was the first thing that sprang to mind, which is by I actually don't know how to say his first name, but I think it's Uem Akpayam. And it is funny
Okay.
and like is a person like doing well in their career as an author, actually. It's a little bit off the wall. He's like doing well. He's out on his book tour. He's like succeeding, but he is fucking up all over the place.
Okay.
Then he starts seeing like a kid and he doesn't know if the kid is real or not. And yeah, you're like very much so inside his brain, but you're also watching him like just navigate life like being like a successfully public career person while
Right.
also not being a successfully public career person. It be also like Elif Botman, who did The Idiot, also has Either Or, which I would 100% put in this category of the like it's a woman's perspective, which I think this person specifically was like, I need a dude, but like I don't read about dudes very often.
I know. That's why it's such a hard question because I'm like, this is not in my wheelhouse.
I'm like,
so one of my recommendation is also by a woman, which is Fleischman is in Trouble. I think that's like totally bro lit. Or what Fleischman is fucking up his life. His life is already fucked up. I don't know.
Fleischman is troubles.
Yeah, Fleischman is troubled. Yeah, so I cheated a little bit there. I don't know if it's allowed, but
I mean, but I do understand this person is looking for the banter. They're looking for the, some good stuff, but I get it. It is also hard to find books like that are, I think this is one of the reasons that I hated and like rebelled so much against chick lit, because I was like, when dudes do it, we just called it fiction for the entire 80s, especially, 70s and 80s. Right. And then we were like, oh, a woman's writing about people wandering around and having relationships or not succeeding in them. We'll make a whole category for it. And you're like, why?
Exactly. Yeah. No, I mean, I think another book that someone suggested, which had not crossed my mind, but totally fits, is Less by Andrew Sean Greer.
Sure. And of course, Less is Lost, which was like
Less is Lost, the new one.
The follow-up. Yeah, which you were like, no one, I was very nervous as someone who loved Less, like a lot of people. I was like, why are you writing more? And then I was like, I'm so glad you did. This is delightful.
Oh, really? Because I did not like Less.
Oh, you did not like Less? Yeah. Mm-mm. So I think the stakes are higher in this one. And so that there was like more of a plot to it, which I think is probably a reasonable critique of Less. Yeah. Because and he's traveling across America, which is fascinating.
Yeah. My other two, one is The Town of Babylon by Alejandro Varela, because that sort of has like, he's going back home for his high school reunion or whatever and like re-encountering. Mm-hmm. So that sort of has that like drama, banter, it's sort of funny. And then the other one is not out yet. I think it's out when you all are listening to this next week. It's called Sucker by Daniel Hornsby. And it's sort of presented. That's a good rec. Yeah, it's like, I haven't read it, but just the way it was presented to me was like a Bad Blood meets Succession kind of thing. Like this rich kid of like from a rich family starts working at this startup that like wants to suck your blood and like make you immortal or something. I don't know. That's how it was presented. It kind of intrigued me. And so when I got this question, I was like, oh, there's that book I just heard about. So I don't know how we did, Tanya. I don't know if you're going to be happy with our recs or not. It's a really hard one.
But I kind of love how hard it is. I'm going to be like texting you for the next 2 years thinking about this.
Be like, I came up with one. And for everyone who wants their question read on the podcast, email askthestacks@thestackspodcast.com. Okay. This is like probably the first question that everyone probably wanted me to ask, but here I am 30 minutes in asking you maybe the most obvious question. How do you decide what to stock in your bookstore?
Oh my God, the perennial question. Do you want the technical answer or do you want my emotional answer? Or I mean both, probably. Which one do you want
I
first?
think probably both. Why don't you start with the emotional answer?
Okay.
I think.
Well, the emotional answer is a little bit technical in that like Loyalty is a mission-based bookstore. So general bookstores are kind of going for like their number one thing is like what's going to sell and hopefully also is it good, right? Like it's like you're always trying to balance those two things no matter what kind of bookstore you are. If you are a mission,
turns out what's gonna sell, it's not always good.
Who knows? Exactly.
Yeah.
Definitely true. Definitely true. And in some cases, like that's okay because entertainment is wonderful and a value in and of itself. And sometimes you're like, oh no, it's a garbage fire.
Yeah.
So if you're a mission-based bookstore, that helps you navigate that a little bit more too, because you'd be like, oh, I'm not selling American Dirt in this store ever. It's not happening. This is against the very reason my bookstore exists. The community has told me they feel like hurt by this and the community is what we are here for. And so we are done. Like, boom, end of story. A lot of times things are grayer area than that though. And so for me, it comes down to a like gut reaction. How are my feels? How do my booksellers feel about it? And like, to Marie Kondoit, like, does it bring me joy? Is this something I am proud of? Someone walking in off the street and going, I heard about Loyalty, or your window display looked interesting, or do you have a bathroom? And when they walk past these books on the shelf or see them on the display table or whatever, are they intrigued? And am I proud to tell them this book is something I chose? Like sorry, it matters to me. This store is like what I think my community is. So am I proud of that? You know, that's the gut, that's the emotion. The technical term is we look at hundreds of thousands of titles in catalogs that are getting bigger and bigger all the time as publishers buy each other up and become one giant ball of conglomeration. Which is Ronald Reagan's fault. But I do think that it is, you know, what stands out as you look through publishing catalogs, which are on, you know, an online platform called Edelweiss, where most publishers post their things. Occasionally, you know, you get sent a physical catalog too. A lot of like smaller presses and university presses still send physical catalogs, which I find delightful.
I love getting those.
I'm like, ooh. And you know, my ADHD really appreciates a physical reminder of the thing I'm supposed to be doing. And you know, you have a lot of trust in your book selling and book sales community. If I have a wonderful sales rep who understands the mission of the store, the books they highlight for me in that maybe 20,000 title catalog or 2,000 title catalog, right? Or, you know, 98 titles I looked at the other day. But the 6 that my sales rep highlighted for me were so perfect for us. And then there was a couple that I was like, oh, I'll bring this in like 1s and 2s and we'll give it a try, right? Like, it is, again, a relationship-based business. So if someone tells me, I think this is going to be huge, it might not be perfect for you, but maybe you want one on the shelf. Or I think this is going to be huge and it is perfect for you, get a stack for the table. And I'm going to do my best to read it in advance. And if I don't get to read it in advance, at least read part of it and have a sense of what it is. And sometimes the thing they're pushing is god awful. And sometimes it's fine. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, someone is going to love this, but it's not for me. You have to have like a really, really high level of self-awareness about what your personal taste is versus what your community's taste is. And one of the best things you can do is listen to your booksellers. If you're lucky enough to have people on staff, if you're not doing it solo or with only a couple, you know, maybe there's some stores that are like, you know, one person most days and then occasionally a volunteer on the weekends or some, you know, high school interns or, you know, and not saying you don't listen to those people, but, you know, there's people who work at Loyalty who have very different tastes than me. And I love to have them tell me what I'm missing.
Yeah. But so, okay. So books are coming out, you know, they're coming. You're like, okay, we're going to order 10 of these, 2 of these, 1 of this because of the sales rep. The books hit the shelf and then people start coming in the bookstore and they're asking you about a book you don't have. Are you then like, okay, we need to go in and order 5 of these because we keep getting asked about this? And then when you sell out of a book, is it automatically renewed, or do you have to go in and be like, we want to order more of these for the show? Like, how does the process of actually like because you guys are guessing at the start. You're like, this is what we think is good.
It is
this
an
is what we think
educated
is gonna
guess.
sell.
It is taste. It is like, is someone willing to write a staff pick for this to pull it out? It is
right.
It is magic. It is not a science. It's the only thing that was fully true in that PRH Simon Schuster merger hearing. Like, it is like, no.
So then once you start to actually have books that have gone on sale, because a lot of this is being done before the books are ever in the world, then
6 to 9 months in advance sometimes. Like, you're like, totally. Well, yeah, totally in advance.
So then books start coming out into the world. People start coming and asking you about things. How do you then decide what you want to re-up versus like, okay, we're going to sell through this and kind of just be done with this? Or like, this one's selling like hotcakes. Is there like an auto rebuy? Or like, how does that process work?
Oh my God. What a sane system it would be if there was an auto rebuy. So a fun fact about independent book selling is, again, I've said this a lot, there's no money. This affects things in ways that you might not think about, such as there is no point of sale system that is central to every bookstore or is the monopoly in every bookstore. There's a few standouts, but part of it is because there's not a lot of money in making tech for independent bookstores. Publishers are on a very antiquated ordering system that is basically relative to a fax machine. And so to get a computer system, an inventory system to talk to the publishing inventory system, it's messy. So I use a fabulous point of sale system called Ibid that is dope and has like all the detail and reporting that I love. And it is fairly good at reordering. So it, runs a list of what I've sold. I have some minimum set in there on certain titles, either because they're staff picks or because they're like our perennial core inventory. And it suggests, does that suggest, and I go through and say, a supervisor goes through and is like, yes, no, yes, no, yes. And it'll say, you can run it different ways. You can do like suggested ordering. So it might be like, you sold 6 of this, maybe get 8 to 10. Or it could just be like auto, there's another report that's just like, you sold 2, bring in 2. And then I can adjust and I can send those orders off to publishers. They will arrive anywhere between. For a variety of reasons. Shipping is still not back to what it was. People have closed warehouses, condensed warehouses, open new it's all over the place.
Right.
But if the publisher's warehouse is in Indiana, that is coming to me in like 2 weeks. If the publisher's warehouse is in Maryland, obviously that's going to be fast. And this is like the bookstores who are in your neck of the woods, Tracy, are like rolling their eyes because so much is like East Coast or like in the middle centric compared to like,
I'm aware.
You're aware. Yes, exactly. So like, they're like, 2 weeks. That's nice. But which is why some of us also rely very heavily on wholesalers who are positioned throughout the country more so and can get us the book faster, but we lose even more of our discount on that. So, without getting into, not allowed to share, actual numbers. It is definitely like, it's better to order from a publisher, but sometimes you want the book faster because it is a customer request or it's selling really hot now, but it's not going to be in 2 weeks because people have moved on to a new IT book. Right. So you split the difference and get some from a publisher and some from the wholesaler, or you'll get your special orders that are customer requests from the wholesaler. And then not, or it's a last minute, event book edition. So you're going to get some of those from a wholesaler. Whereas you're planning events months in advance, you're going to order them from the publisher. So how you restock, again, not a science, but you're looking at it and you're trying to figure out, we are not like the BIPOC queer bookstore is not necessarily the target store for Prince Harry's memoir Spare. But like, obviously people pre-ordered that for me, right? And pre-orders, every author will tell you this 1,000 times and they're 100% correct. If you pre-order a book, I know that then at least 2 other people are probably going to be asking for it, right? Unless it's like insanely obscure. And even then sometimes, we love an obscure. That tells me something, right? Like someone went to the trouble to pre-order this, so there's going to be walk-ins too. Or people who pre-order the night before a book comes out and then walk in at opening and they're like, where's my book? And I'm like, you pre-ordered this at midnight yesterday.
Right.
But all of that is like very helpful that I need to up that initial order. And then you watch it and you go like, okay, was this just like the book of the week? Or did it also sell, a lot. And some of it is like chicken or the egg. Like, is this still selling because it's the thing I have stacked up on the table, or is this selling because people came in looking for it? Yeah.
Right.
And it's hard. And that is, part of it is just like trying to watch your stock really carefully and make sure you're not super stocked up on something that's not moving. And when that happens, you want to decide, like, is it not moving because I've got it in a weird place because it needs a staff pick, or because genuinely like its moment is over and we want to keep a couple on the shelf and keep recommending it, but we don't need a giant stack of it anymore. And yeah, that's like a huge, huge, huge part of the job. And when you take your eye off the ball, it can really mess up the business side of things, and also like make your customers kind of frustrated.
Yeah. We've been talking so much. We've literally like almost run out of time to talk about your books, but we're going to squeeze some in. 2 books you love, 1 book you hate.
2 books I love. I feel like I should be like harder than this, but I'm not. I'm just going to go with my gut, which is, Yassi's Homegoing is like still my like golden book. I'm just like, nothing will ever make me feel.
I love that.
It took me, love Transit in the Kingdom as well. But yeah, that was like the book. And then I recently reread Bloodchild by Octavia Butler. There's a relatively new edition out from Seven Stories Press. It's this beautiful hardcover, an indie press that I love. They do incredible, like gorgeous books that Octavia Butler deserves. And they did it before she like became something that like was mainstream again. And it has an introduction by Jasmine Ward that is, of course, fabulous. So that's 2 books that I adore. Book that I hate. Ooh, book that I hate. I hate so many books.
Me too. Thank you.
I love about you. I think it's okay to hate books. It's okay to be really, really mad at books. The first book that I ever threw across the room was 1984. It made me so mad, and I don't think it delivered on its promise. And I will hold to that. I hate Moby Dick with a fiery passion. It's like my biggest tension between me and all of my book selling friends. That I'm like, Melville needed an editor. This is too long, and his best work is his short stories. So there's 2.
I love it. What are you reading right now?
Oh, what I'm reading right now, I'm in like a rereading phase actually. And I am rereading Thick by so Tracy Cotton McMillan. Yeah, I am like just like essays and short stories are really where my brain's at right now. It's either that or just like massively long epic fantasy. There's like nothing in between. So I'm loving that. And I'm also making my way through rereading Beverly Jenkins series that takes place like in the West. So it is like Black Cowboys. And I was like, didn't know about Black Cowboys, didn't know that was an option that we had. So very into that. It takes place, I should say, Old West, like just before Reconstruction. So it's like really fascinating American history / sexy time / Black Cowboys and cowgirls.
I love it.
Big fan.
You are inundated with books. You're currently walking through the bookstore looking around as you're answering my questions, which I'm obsessed with. For people who can't see this, only I can see this.
I don't know how to hold still. It's a thing.
It's okay. It's okay. How do you decide what to read next?
Yeah, it's a combination of like, am I hosting an event for this book? Which is a common reason. That's something I'll move up my TBR, or again, obviously like recommendation from a customer or a friend or another bookseller. All of those definitely play into a part, and like what the towering stack by my bedside and on the floor and next to my couch, what gets moved to the top. But generally I am a multi-reader. Like I need to read multiple things at once. So I tend to pick like across a couple different genres of fiction and at least one nonfiction at a time. And then it's mood reading, because I spent so long in academia forcing myself to read things that I do not do that. I read according to taste and vibe and mood, and it's very healing.
What's the last really good book someone recommended to you?
Oh God, that's a great question. The last really great book someone recommended to me, that I just had not was not on my radar. And then this is actually a perfect book selling example. And, not necessarily gonna be a surprise when I tell you The Secret Lives of Church Ladies. Like
Mm.
that was a book that like we did not have, on pre-order, and then like is pretty much always on the bestseller list at our store now. Yeah. hmm
So good.
So good.
Are there things that you wish were different about your reading life?
Yes. I think I wish that um, I was a less moody reader.
Mm.
I wish, and like I'm pretty good at recognizing it now of being like, it's not that that book's bad, it's that I was not in the mood. Like I've definitely come a long way in my relationship with myself about it. But yeah, I'm a very, very moody reader.
Do you have an ideal reading setup?
Yes. I either on my floor,
Okay.
surrounded by a lot of pillows, or I do have like a big yellow armchair that I love to be in, usually curled up with a blanket, my dog nearby, and 2 to 5 beverages options around
Okay.
me.
Okay. Okay. I'm a multi-beverage person
I'm
myself.
like, I need the hot beverage, I need the cold beverage, I need a bubbly beverage.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I have a question on here that I'm not going to ask you because
Oh,
it's what's your favorite bookstore, but I'm just going to plug loyalty again. I feel like sort of feels like that's got to be the pick.
oh my
Um,
God.
what's the last book you purchased?
The last book I purchased was Dreaming in Europe by Audre Lorde, which is like an essay collection of like her essays and speeches and writing she did while lecturing in Germany and elsewhere in Europe. And it's
Mm,
awesome and thought provoking and hella readable. And I bought it at Lost City, which is here in DC, and a used new bookstore run by my friend Adam.
love that. Okay, this is our speed round, and then I got to get you out of here because I've gone over your time. Sorry. Last book that made you laugh.
Samantha Irby's latest.
Oh, so good. I just finished that this week.
Same.
Last book that made you cry.
I'm reading a book that I cannot remember the author of, and I will message it to you, but it's called Belonging. And it's like Black people belonging in actually Europe again. And I was reading it in prep for some travel, and there was just some really beautiful passages and conversation about what it is to belong in a place that you maybe don't originally feel so welcome in.
Last book that made you angry.
The last book that made me angry was actually, I think, it's a book I've been meaning to read forever, and it's called Chokehold, and it's
Oh,
about
yeah.
policing Black men. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Last book that you felt like you learned a lot.
Oh, that was definitely the Dreaming in Europe. Reading that, I learned. I was just like, it was some books. Your mind are just like you're connecting. I feel all the parts of my brain connecting and really like growing, and you're making those neural pathways be traveled, honey.
What about a book you feel proud to have read?
Oh, a book I feel proud to have read is called Our Red Book, and it's first person accounts about reproductive justice access from women all over the country, from all sorts of different walks of life, different abilities. Yeah, it was really, really incredible, and I'm just like proud to have read it because I get like a little like I don't love a body horror. I get really stressed thinking about access to care because it's so important to me and my community. But yeah, these were people from all over the spectrum of life talking about it, and it was just a really beautiful edited book.
What about a book that you still cannot believe you have not read?
Oh, so many.
I know.
So many. I would say a book that has been looking at me for years on my shelf is Tar Baby by Toni Morrison. Like
Mm.
it looks at me in the morning and is like, hey.
You ready?
Yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm not, Toni. I'm not. Okay. Not today.
If you could assign a book to high school students, what would you pick?
Oof. Can I pick two? No, I have to pick one.
Sure, you can pick two. I don't care.
I think students should have to read The Once and Future King by T.H. White because it talks about like what you want from a society in a really like entertaining way because King Arthur is entertaining. And then I wish we could assign them We Do This Till We Free Us by Miriam Kaba, which like just like is both imaginative and takes really seriously the ideas behind abolition and what dreaming can really mean.
Love, 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 love. I guess this is actually, I have last two. One is, who would you want to write the book of your life?
How has I never thought of this before? People answer these questions on your show, and I'm like, I've got an answer for that. And now I'm being asked, and I cannot answer these questions.
I rarely ask this question because writers always are like, I'm going to write my memoir. And I'm like, okay, that's not the fucking question.
That
Karen.
was not the question, ma'am. I want to say Samantha Irby because I think she would make it really funny, but also because I think my life is really funny. And a lot of few times I have that like trauma kid thing where you tell a story that you think is hilarious and then you look over and people are like, oh no.
No.
So I think she would do a good job. I really do. I think she would. I think we share a sense of humor.
I love that. I would read it for sure. Okay, last one. If you could require the current president of the United States to read one book, what would you want it to be?
You all can't see it, but I just gave her a look.
A serious look. I feel like I'm getting sent to the principal's office.
Yes, you are absolutely getting sent to the principal's office. You know what? There is a book. Yes, Maud Newton. I just literally was like, who is this by? This is not necessarily, but off the top of my head, it's a book called Ancestor Trouble. And it takes seriously, and with personal stories, but also with larger conversation about what generational racism, if you are a white person in America, means. What did your daddy do? What did your grandpa do? And how is that affecting the people around you right now? I love it. I think it's really beautifully written. And I think it's a way of approaching the topic that we don't see enough responsibility from. We put it on us. And as Toni Morrison said, this is not my problem. This is your problem.
This is a you thing.
This is a you thing. And I think that would be a really excellent read.
Oh my gosh. I love it. You're so good. I wish I could ask you all the questions because I know that you have answers for all of them, but this has been a conversation with Hannah Oliver Depp, owner, creator of the Loyalty bookstores in the DC area. And Hannah will be back at the end of this month. Let me pull up the date so I can get a nice clean out for that.
Yes. I should also say, since February this year, Christine Ballo is co-owner of Loyalty with me. So very excited about having a person in my corner who loves the mission as much.
You would know Christine because she did Best Books of 2020 with us. So if you listen to that episode, that's Christine.
Yes.
She also does events at Loyalty, which is Loyalty has the best events. But
she's amazing.
Hannah will be back on Wednesday, June 28th for our episode on Oreo by Fran Ross.
Yay!
I'm so excited. I've never read the book. You suggested it. It's a brilliant suggestion. I just cannot even wait. 1970s satire. I don't know anything about it. So I'm really, really excited.
It is a fave. You're going to love it. Or hate it, maybe. And then we can talk about that too. It's going to be great.
Oh, I hope I hate it. Then we can talk about it. You all can go order some books from Loyalty. I'm leaving you links to everything in the show notes. So if something that Hannah talks about today sparked your fancy, order it from Loyalty. And it might take 2 weeks. Okay. Just chill out, people. It'll be fine.
Books don't expire.
It's going to be fine. And you have too many books on your shelf anyways. So it's fine. I get it. Hannah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for letting me ramble on for so long, Tracy. I loved it.
A dream. And everyone else, we will see you in the stacks. All right, y'all, that does it for us today. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you again to Hannah for being my guest. Hannah will be back on June 28th for our book club discussion of Oreo by Fran Ross. If you love the show and want inside access to it, head to patreon.com/thestacks to join the Stacks Pack. Make sure you're subscribed to The Stacks wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you're listening through Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave us a rating and a review. For more from The Stacks, follow us on social media at The Stacks Pod on Instagram and TikTok and The Stacks Pod _ on Twitter. And check out our website, thestackspodcast.com. This episode of The Stacks was edited by Christian Duenas with production assistance from Lauren Tyree. Our graphic designer is Robin McCrite, and our theme music is from Tigirigis. The Stacks is created and produced by me, Tracy Thomas.